beautiful chicken dish. Now, this is a perfect dish if you want to actually pretty much set and forget it. We are going to be serving it later on with some roast veggies. It is actually half done already by the time I get to this stage. Now, you guys who are watching on, I'm not going to pronounce the name of this dish because I will get it wrong. So I have put it in the description and you can see it on screen as well. Okay, but it is a beautiful chicken dish, traditionally made with the Maryland style part of the chicken, but I actually think you could do it with breasts, thighs, drumsticks, whatever you've got, wingettes, and all that sort of stuff. So there's so many ways you can do this. The process is very similar regardless. So the first two steps, I'll just step you through, and then we're going to get onto the Thermomix part. Oh, and by the way, I have a little surprise at the end to show you as well, something that arrived in the mail today. So first thing it says is to preheat your oven to 190 degrees, and you just put your chicken into a bowl. Now this is only half of mine. It's super duper hot. We're at the halfway point. So I'm not going to lift it up and show you. It is beautiful though. So I've got my 3 in here. I've got 3 in another glass container. And then all you actually do is, and they say do 4, so I'm obviously doing 6, there's 6 of us, but it says to scatter with some echallots. Now I didn't have echallots, but we've got leeks that we've been pulling out of the garden. Hello Carissa, so lovely to see you. It's been a long time since I've been live and be able to say hi to people online. And the leeks, some of them were baby leeks, some were big leeks and stuff. So what we actually did is I decided, you know what, never mind echallots, I'm just going to use leeks. Now what I would have done otherwise is I would have just grabbed some purple onions or some brown onions and quartered them, because echallots are more expensive usually. So use what you've got, save yourself some money. Would have grabbed maybe 2 depending on the size if they were big onions. Otherwise, if they're smaller, maybe 3, quartered them all and put them in. Okay, so that would be my first tip of the day if you're doing that. I use the leeks. And mine were little leeks, okay? We're talking about ones that didn't grow. We wanted the garden space and they were taking a bit long the last lot. So you scatter with echallots, some bacon. I cheated, I had diced bacon already in the freezer straight from the deli section, and it's probably not as much, and I put that over the top. And then it asks for some fresh herbs. Now, I was actually going to reach for the dry herbs. However, we do have tarragon beautifully growing out the back. So I grabbed the tarragon. We've got the rosemary similarly, but I would have been I think it'll be just as amazing if you only had dried. Okay, some salt and some pepper. What I did add is lately we have been absolutely hooked on celery salt. Now it is in the Good Food No Waste cookbook, I think. We've got celery growing, we've got an abundance of it. It's really easy. You use the leaves, you put them in the oven, you cook them off with some salt, blitz them with some more salt, and then you put it away. And we've been using that on our roast veggies. We've been using it, and we don't actually typically use much salt. We'll use veggie stock in things, but I use that in place of salt today. And then obviously the pepper as well. So that's what's in this beautiful dish. And then you cook it for 20 minutes at 190. So then at that point in time, it asks you to get it out the oven and put into a separate bowl 200 grams of white wine. Any white wine will do. The cheapest you've got will do. All leftovers from something 6 months ago will be perfectly fine. Something 12 months ago, okay? If you don't have wine, then definitely just water will do the job, okay? Wine will give it a bigger depth of flavor in this recipe because it is relying on that later as it reduces. But you know what? I think it'd be amazing regardless. So it's got 200 grams of wine, 100 grams of water, and then it's got a little bit of veggie stock, and it says meat stock, and I just use my veggie stock because those of you who've been watching along for a while, you know I don't bother making the other ones. I don't do chicken paste and all that. I just use veggie for everything. And anything goes into that as well, all right? If you've never cooked veggie stock and you want to do it and you want to have your hand held to do that, reach out. I am more than happy to jump online with you and get you confident and get that in your fridge because it is such a game changer. It's going to save you money at the checkout. It doesn't have to be all the fancy bells and whistles in that recipe. I'll show you how to do it and I'll show you easily. So if you are a Thermomix owner and you've not got veggie stock or beef and chicken, if you've gone that way with it, I find it didn't taste any different, so I just went with veggie, okay? It was cheaper, I went with that way. Then get online with me and let's do that. So set the jug aside, and then it actually asks you just to mix it through and put it on the top. Okay, so that's really easy. And then we're going to get to where we are now. It cooks for 10 more minutes at that same temperature. And now we're coming up to the Thermomix part. So it's asking for some parsley into the bowl. I am going to cheat. I do have some in the garden, but I don't want to show you the chopping step on the parsley. That's just easy. Chuck it in. So I'm actually not even going to bother. I'm just going to tear it up at the end and put it in, okay? My bowl is also slightly damp. And you know the trick to having a really good chop on your parsley is that really dry bowl, okay? If it's wet, it's going to stick to the sides and you're not going to get a nice chop on that. So now here we go. Insert the measuring cup and we're getting up to making our next thing. Transfer to a bowl and set aside. All right, here we go. So first things first into the Thermomix is 3 cloves of garlic. All right, so these are going into the Thermomix. You'll see they're quite generous. I do apologize. This camera, I've noticed it's very high, but it turns into a bit of a disco ball because it can't figure out which way is upright as I turn it in a moment. So hopefully it stays. 3 garlic cloves, in they go. On with our lid, let's chop it down. Here's our lid. And it's got 3 seconds, speed 7, I think. And you can hear that was done so easily in that time frame. It's just waiting the delay on the arms to open. And now, by the way, this recipe by this stage, we're actually only 10 minutes away from finishing. So you've had 20 minutes in the oven with some scattered stuff over it. You didn't even use your Thermomix for that stage. You then pour over that liquid. You cook it for another 10 minutes. And now we're making a beautiful, and if I was you, I would be then putting on this beautiful next step while it's in the oven for that 10 minutes. Obviously, I wanted to show you as much as I can this part here. So I waited. But if you want to be really time efficient with this, you would actually be cooking this part while it's in the oven. All right. So scrape down the sides. Let's see what that looks like. Look at that. Beautiful in there. Now we're going to add some mushrooms. It says Swiss mushrooms. I just do button mushrooms for everything. And I managed to score them on sale today. So that was a win. Don't think it's 200 grams. Not that my kids will complain that I'm shortchanging them on that. That's all right. And you know what? Work with what you've got. Some butter. Now I am going to use butter today because I've got some, but if I didn't have any substitutes I would use, or even if you've got to be dairy free, I would use olive oil or I'd use coconut oil or whatever favorite oil you've got. Okay, so if you didn't have or you couldn't have butter, don't let that stop you making this recipe. So in this goes, I am just going to guess how much that is. 20, so I'd say 29, 28. All right. And then we're going to put this back on top. We're going to put our simmering basket on top. This is so that the humidity can come out. It can reduce down. I do have the simmering basket here somewhere. And then we're just going to set this on and it's going to cook for 5 minutes. Okay, so while it's doing that, then I'm just going to fill you in now. We literally pour it over the top and I have to remember that I have to split it 2 ways. And then this goes in the oven for 10 minutes. And the recipe goes on to make mashed potato. But I'm going to be putting on some squash and I'm going to be putting on some other bits and pieces as well. We've got some zucchini, some potatoes, sweet potatoes from the garden to use. So I'm going to do roast veggies instead with this. I'm so glad my sound is back, Carissa. That is one of the problems I seem to be having living in the middle of nowhere. So what I wanted to show you is a sneak peek. I got something in the mail from Thermomix today. And it is, I love this. I love the surprises we get sent. And it is the latest, well, I think it's the latest Woman's Weekly. And I'm going to open it up and there must be Thermomix recipes in there, which is super exciting because it's got recipes then for your inspiration, but then it's also got recipes and things that you can talk to your friends about. So if they don't have a Thermomix, it gives you the chance, an opening to talk to them, especially if they are into magazines. And, you know, buying them and things like that. I know people do electronic these days. Does Woman's Weekly come electronic? I'm not even sure. But when I can get it out, let me have a look. So, and it's got this, I don't know if that's going to come in everybody's or if that's just my special one with my address on it. But that's pretty cool. So Thermomix recipes in here. I presume they're going to be Christmas ones. But let's just have a quick flick through and see if I can find beautiful things in there. So there's the festive camembert wreath. See, I knew that there was, I was like, oh, that's familiar. Why is that familiar? Lobster pate. You've got prawn and saffron arancinis. You've got, just trying to make sure I look at it and it's got Thermomix stuff on it, or if I'm just now moving into other stuff. Anyway, if you're into Woman's Weekly and magazines, or you know, want to have a talking point at Christmas time, check out Woman's Weekly because it's got the Thermomix in there this month, which is pretty cool. Well, I think it's this month. I don't know. So, Anyway, we are just about done here. 19 seconds to go. Isn't it great that the Thermomix cooks and we can flick through magazines instead of being stuck in the kitchen? It's pretty cool. So, as I've made mention, I've told you the next couple of steps. Now, if I can help you with anything with your Thermomix, if you need help with a recipe you're halfway through, or if you want to talk about something your Thermomix is doing, or a recipe that hasn't worked or not working, or something you want to convert to Thermomix, maybe it's a favorite Christmas pudding from years ago, reach out. I would love to support you to get the very most out of your Thermomix. That is what I'm passionate about. That's what I show up every day for, is to inspire you and help you gain confidence. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the Christmas series on YouTube that's shared across here to Facebook, which is where I'm coming live today too. But I really hope you've got value from them and you feel inspired and confident that you can now, at Christmas time, make amazing food to celebrate Christmas with you, your friends, your family, yourself, whatever it might be. But otherwise, guys, thanks for joining me today. As I said, reach out. Oh, there is a $29 bowl offer on as well. So if you've been sitting on the fence about getting a Thermomix, this is the time to do it. We also have 36 months interest free with Zip available, which brings it right down to less than $18. That even might be a bit exaggerated. I always like to round that up because often the pricing doesn't include things like the bowl, or if you decide to put a spatula in or a scrubbing brush or something. So I tend to exaggerate the price and put the repayment up more rather than on the low side. But great time to get a Thermomix because it will make your Christmas so much easier. All right, and I'd love to help you get the confidence with your Thermomix to use it and love it to its fullest potential. But otherwise, I will be back live again, all going well, tomorrow afternoon, because I'm going to come to you this week and show you what I'm cooking straight from my kitchen. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for saying hi, Carissa. I do hope my internet will hold out for these live videos, but otherwise I'll see you tomorrow. So take care and we'll see you then, guys. Bye for now.